Reader podcast. It's with me, Afandi. I am so excited. Today we will be reviewing our first read, which is The Middle Daughter by Chike Unigwe. So Chike Unigwe is an African writer. She's of Nigerian origin, the Igbo community. I think she is a great contributor to the literature in Africa. She was nominated for the Hay Festival of the Sub-Saharan, the 39th one. For the under 40 among the people who are doing great works in literature. She's also an author for several books. Among them, she's an amazing author. Some of her books include The Black Sister Street, Better Never Than Late, among other books. I think I'll just go to the reason why I picked this book as my read. What attracted me to the book is the middle daughter. For me, I'm a middle child, so I think the title just attracted me to wanting to read the book. The book, I think I'll start by reading for you the synopsis. So when Nani is only 17, Nani is the main character. She's the protagonist in this book. She loses her beloved sister and father. Misunderstood by the rest of her family, she is beguiled by an itinerant preacher, a handsome, self-proclaimed man of God who seems to offer all answers, but instead of building a better future with him, Nani is forced too soon into challenging womanhood with an oppressive husband. Will she find the courage to take charge of her own life and seek true happiness, and at what cost? Yeah, I think from the synopsis, we get a rough understanding of what this book is about. So as I told you, Nani is a girl. She's the middle child, and typical characteristics of a middle child: the calm one, the peacemaker, the non-problematic child. So Nani is born as the middle child, and there are three daughters. The first one is Udodi, and then there's Nani, and then there is Ugo, who is the youngest. Nani is very close to the father, and the sister manages to go to the US to study, and Nani and Ugo are left back. So the inspiration from the sister to travel to the States makes her to really work hard, and she desires to go to the United States. A brief history about their father. Doda. Doda had three daughters, and in an African setting, for a man to have daughters and not to have a son, the man he will be put under so much pressure to get a son. However, it was different with Doda. He loved his three daughters, and he was the kind of man who really wanted they had three girls to get educated and get the best education. The mother was a nurse, and I think their aunt was also there, and I think the brothers kept on inciting him not to educate the girls, that girls were supposed to get married. There's Aunt Enuka, who comes up in the story. Aunt Enuka is educated. He's the sister to Doda. She's educated to the extent that she doesn't end up getting married. She decides to live alone. And I think the story of Enuka is among the reasons why the uncles are fighting Doda educating the daughters. And it raises the question, is it that an educated woman, when she decides to be alone, is the fault of the education, or can somebody just decide to stay alone and not get married? Well, that is a topic that we need maybe to discuss as we proceed, but I think that's among the main highlights, because Doda is really receives so much pressure from the family not to educate the girls, because for fear that they will not get married and instead will be like their aunt Enuka. The story proceeds, I think, in the US, while their daughter Ugo is in. So the story proceeds when Udodi is in the US. Unfortunately, she passes on. The news gets back to the family, and it's very painful because nobody is able to see. Their aunt is the one who is able to bring the body back as she's in the US. This hits the family really hard, especially Nani, because the inspiration for her to work so hard and travel to the US to study is because of her sister Udodi. So they proceed. This really traumatizes, but within a short while, the father Doda also falls sick and dies. Remember very well, Nani is very close to the father. On the other hand, Ugo, the youngest child, is very close to the mother. So once Nani loses the father, she is left in a dilemma. She doesn't have somebody to confide it. She was very close to the father. She would share so many things. She will come, like she would share so much with the father. So she's left there in the middle. She doesn't know what to do. She's lost her elder sister. She's also lost her father, the people who were closest to her. So she tries, and she has nobody to turn to. So in the process, she meets a guy. His name is Ephraim. He's a preacher. I think it gives the Jehovah Witness vibes. You know how preachers come and start teaching you about God? Well, that's the vibe I feel when I see Ephraim. Not to be judged. I don't have any problem with Jehovah Witness, just sharing my insights. So as he passes continuously, the first time he approaches Nani, Nani seems a little reluctant. They're not from a very religious background, so she's not very interested, but she's looking for hope. Remember, she doesn't have anyone to talk to, and that's how their relationship with Ephraim builds up. So constantly Ephraim is passing by, saying hi, they start having conversation. Ephraim tells him about God, about Christianity, which interests Nani. And for a long while, their conversation, they build up. They have a house help who is constantly monitoring, but at some point she allows them to become friends. The younger sister Ugo did not like Ephraim at all. So, but because they were friends with the sister, she had to accept it. So this friendship goes on until one day they have an overnight kesha, an overnight prayer session, I think, yes, and worship and prayer session. So Ephraim invites Nani to the prayer session. Remember, at this point, Nani has just completed her high school and she's awaiting to graduate and proceed to the next level. The mother wants her to move to the US. However, after the death of her sister, she's very skeptical about it. She's thinking, do I really want to go there? If my sister died there and there was no one there to take care of her, do I also want that kind of life? So she had already lost the desire to travel abroad. She's just not willing to go. So this is where she is at this point in time. So all this proceeds. So Ephraim, so Nani cannot seek the permission from her mother. Remember, she's not very close. She is afraid of her mom. Her mom is a bit strict with her, so they don't have a really close relationship. So she cannot seek for permission. And being the good girl, she tries to maintain that kind of she tries to continue portraying herself. But something happens. The mother travels, so she speaks to her sister, tells her that she's going to go, but she'll make sure she returns early. So Nani decides, prepares, and they go for the overnight prayer session, worship and prayer session, and this is where the whole story begins. Ephraim picks her, they go, they have their whole night session, they pray, and it's a bit late and there's no way she can get back home. Their gate is closed. So what is the other option? Well, Nani goes to Ephraim's house. Ephraim lives in a very, let's say, middle class to low level kind of neighborhood. So, and Nani is so surprised to the kind of environment that she sees. The house is very small, not well kept. Like, it's neat and well kept, but the kind of lifestyle that Nani is used to, seeing that kind of environment where Ephraim stays, it wasn't what she was used to. However, she accepts to stay with Ephraim for the night. Unfortunately, something unexpected happens. The so-called proclaimed man of God, well, she left Nani to sleep. She takes advantage of Nani. Well, remember, Nani is still young, she's a virgin. After this happens, he's apologizing and blaming everything. How do you? It's the devil that took advantage of, took a hold of him. The excuses that don't even make sense are so-called proclaimed man of God. I think these are the kind of people who portray Christianity and religion in a very negative aspect. Because when people go to religion for help and people take advantage, they destroy the perception of what Christianity and religion really is. And that the excuse that this guy gives after taking advantage, it just pisses me off, just to be honest. So what happens next? Nani goes back home. She cannot tell a word to anyone. She's so afraid. She locks herself in. She feels disgusted by herself. I think so, and she's not close to the mother, she's not close to the sister, she has no one to confide in. And I think this brings about the question and the topic on parents and parenthood. I believe that as parents, okay, I'm not a parent, but I think parents have a great responsibility in ensuring their children have a safe space to open to, and they're the first people that their children are going to go for guidance, and in case of anything, they're the first people their children are supposed to go to. I think the previous generation where we created, there was a big wall that is built between parents and children. That was a great mistake, and I think parents are beginning to learn that be your child's friend. Yes, there's discipline, there's boundaries, but be your child's friend. Be that person that your child can go to. I think personally, I experienced that kind of a friendship with my mom. So I think I have had a very close relationship with my mom, to the extent that any question that I ever had, she will be the first person I will go to. I think even the first time that somebody approached me to ask me out as a young girl, I think she was the first person who I went to and told her. And the one thing is, if you can, a parent will never lie to the child because they always want the best for the child, so they will guide you in the right direction. Being a present parent, being a friend to your child, provides an opportunity for you to communicate to them. I think I have shared it with a couple of people. If you know me, my first sexual to mean conversation around sex, was with my mom. And I think it made things so easy. And I had that conversation as young as 14 years old. And I think it was among my guiding principles. I understood what sex is, not from a stranger, but from my mom. And it's among the things that helped me build value and love myself and respect myself, and not just want to discover things from other people. It built the self-confidence and taught me like when to say no. It was like, where do you have your boundaries, where do you build up boundaries and have a really strong personality around things. So my main message is, parents, if you can have the chance, it will be very good for you to have a good relationship with your kids. Let you be the first person that your kids can go to. Let them feel like they can talk to you, because sometimes we all just need somebody to listen to, and we just need the right guidance. And first, in this modern era of the internet and everything, we can access our children. Okay, the younger kids can access everything through the internet. So be the person that your child can go and ask to. And the kind of information that these children have is very wide. So if getting that information, you don't know the kind of information they'll get, be the present parent who can have the conversation with the kids. Because at this point, you're imagining Nani has such an incident has occurred to her, but she cannot open up to anyone. It's very sad. And I think if it was a parent, if personally I was a parent and my child could not open up to me, then that's an indication that I have failed as a parent. So I think that's a major highlight for me, that for me, parents need to be present for their children. Parents need to be available, to be the person who guides your child first before anybody else. Let no one be giving your child direction on how to do things. That's just my feeling. But feel free to share your insights, feel free to share your feedback, because it's just us learning from each other and just relating what literature has to offer with what is really actually happening to our modern society. I think that is what is my take on this matter. So I think another point that I had not highlighted previously, as a nurse, Nani's mother had a center where she would bring in young girls, and I think this is what made it hard for Nani to confide in the mother. If girls got pregnant, she would bring them, take care of them. If they didn't want to keep the babies, she would bring in parents who don't have kids and sell those babies to them. Yes, maybe she found it as a way of helping these girls, but in reality, it was not the right thing to do. So this continued, and after some time, well, Nani discovers that she's pregnant. She had cut all ties with didn't just have to get there. I think if given the opportunity, if Nani got the chance to speak about it, she didn't have to go and live with a man that had taken advantage of her. That is an indication that this man didn't care about her. She was brought up in a very well-off family, now going to live in an environment that she was not used to. Nani didn't know how to cook. She had to go. She left her home, carried and went to live with a man. I think a man who took advantage of her. Yeah, that's so painful. I feel the pain, but that's what happens if you just don't have somebody to talk to, if you can't have somebody to confide in. So Ephraim is so happy, which is so disgusting, because he keeps on repeating that Nani is going to be her wife, and that is the only. If you love someone, you don't force them into things that they don't want. You allow them come to you. But I think I'm a great believer. If something is yours, it will come to you. 10 years, 100 years, if it's meant to be, it will be. Don't have to force issues. So he keeps on telling her, you're supposed to be my wife. That's why, and that's God's doing that you're pregnant. That is misusing the name of the Lord. And these are the big kind. In reality, in society, we have people who are hiding in the church, hiding their real behavior, hiding who they really are in the church. And that's so sad and so painful. So I think it really hurts to know that people are using religion to cover everything up and defend themselves for their wrongdoings and blame it on the devil. What? You can keep blaming everything on the devil. Sometimes people need to learn and take responsibility. That's just the reality of the matter. So she starts living. She's pregnant for the first time. The life of Nani and Ephraim living together begins. Ugo and the mother, first week, disappears. Her sister Ugo decides to go look for her, but Nani refuses to go back and she cannot explain what happened. Yeah, life can change in a split of a second. From a good home where everything is provided, you have a help, now you go live with a man who took advantage of you. Wow. I think this is the point where you feel like strangling someone. The worst thing, even after Nani moved, Ephraim's true colors came out. It turns out that he's a very violent man. Ephraim's mother comes to help Nani after she gets the first child. Ephraim beats up Nani because she cannot cook. Nani is just living a depressed life. She's quiet. She ends up cutting her hair. She loses the beauty that she had. All with this, she has the first child, second child, third child, and I know with this, Ephraim feels that he's secure and Nani cannot leave him. I believe this is a good start of the story, and just to keep you here, and that's just the first half of the story, the middle child. We have greater. It's a really interesting story. If you get the chance before we do the second review on the book, please go check out the book, read it, and you can join me as we review the book, The Middle Daughter. I can promise you, it's an intense book. It can make you really angry. You can feel like beating somebody up. Please take time, read The Middle Daughter by Chike Unigwe, and next week, in our next episode, we will be reviewing the rest of the book and find out what did Nani decide to leave Ephraim, what happened to Ugo and the mother, which direction does Nani's life take, and discuss the different learnings that we get from this book and relate to the kind of life that you're currently living, because this is the Relatable Reader podcast, and reading shall never be a solitary journey. Can't wait to finish the review of The Middle Child with you guys. Bye.